Good morning, gorgeous. Yes, you. Welcome back to Rosie Rooted and Rising. Today's episode is titled The Woman I Became. And it feels like the right place to begin this conversation. Today feels different, not heavy, not sentimental, not dramatic, settled. There is a difference between reacting to change and becoming someone new because of it. Reaction is loud, becoming is quiet. And what has happened in my life over this past year is becoming. There is something about being a woman over 50. You don't reinvent to impress. You don't pivot to prove. You don't expand to compete. You shift because shrinking is no longer acceptable. And I refuse to shrink. I am not in transition. I am in position. And that changes how I move. There were themes: the shift, the in between, boundaries, desire without apology, identity without performance, releasing roles without losing myself. But this wasn't about topics, this was about ownership, not control, ownership. Ownership of my inner voice, ownership of my standards, ownership of my decisions, ownership of my pace, and ownership of my evolution. As a woman over 50, living on autopilot is no longer an option. I don't have time for performing, I don't have time for shrinking, and I don't have time for over explaining my choices so other people feel comfortable. I don't have time for proving my value to rooms that have already benefited from me. And neither do you, sis. Guarding your heart is not about closing it off. It's about wisdom. It's about awareness. It's about knowing what deserves access to your time, your energy, and your peace, and what does not. Wisdom doesn't shout, wisdom settles. And this year required wisdom. There's something that happens when you stop circling an idea and actually commit to it. Not talk about it, not plan it endlessly, not announce it. Commit. While building this podcast, expanding my business, and stepping further into leadership, I made a decision. I was going to take the New Jersey real estate exam. Not someday, not when it felt convenient, but now. For 4 weeks between January and February 2026, 2 weeks of class, 2 weeks of studying, early mornings, fewer distractions, more focus, I realized something. My challenge has never been ability. My challenge has been how long I allow distractions to pull my attention away from what actually matters. When I removed the distractions and focused, I followed through. And following through changes how you see yourself. When I passed the exam, it didn't feel explosive. It simply felt right. Right for the level I'm stepping into. Right for the business I'm building. Right for the standard I now hold for myself. This wasn't reinvention, it was expansion. And expansion at this stage of life isn't emotional, it's strategic. You don't rise because you feel inspired. You rise because you follow through. Leadership will refine you quickly. It reveals hesitation. It exposes weak boundaries. It shows you where you still want to be liked more than you want to be clear. And clarity is kindness. When things aren't clear, resentment grows. In business, in leadership, in relationships. If you are unclear, people will fill in the blanks for you, and usually they're not in your favor. Order is not about control. Order is respect. Respect for your time, respect for your standards, respect for capacity. This year, I stopped apologizing for structure. I stopped softening expectations. I stopped cushioning directness. Not harsh, not cold, clear. And clarity feels peaceful. There was a time I believed wanting more meant I wasn't grateful, that desire meant dissatisfaction, that expansion meant I had failed to appreciate what I already had, but that is far from the truth. Desire is direction, it's information, it's a signal that there is still growth ahead of you. At this stage of life, you don't desire randomly. You desire what matches your next level. If something begins to feel tight, it's not because you're ungrateful, it's because you've outgrown it. Outgrowing does not require apology. Growth doesn't ask permission, and expansion does not wait for consensus. Let me ask you something. Where are you still asking for permission? Where are you softening your ambition so others feel comfortable? Where are you waiting for agreement before you decide? You are not experimenting anymore. You are building legacy, and legacy requires decisiveness. What would your life look like if you trusted your own timing completely? Not rushing, not proving, not comparing, just moving. I am not louder, I am steadier. I am not chasing opportunity. I am building capacity. I am not negotiating my standards. I stand on them. Power is calm. Confidence is quiet. Authority does not explain itself. Expansion does not need applause. This is not reinvention, it's refinement. There is another level available, not louder, not flashier, deeper, stronger, more strategic, more disciplined, more intentional. I am not circling, I am building forward. And the woman who moves forward does not revisit who she was for comfort. She honors her and continues. And maybe that's the real work of becoming. Not proving who you are, not convincing anyone of your worth, but living with the kind of clarity that comes from experience. And as I have been reflecting on this season of my life, there's a verse that keeps coming back to me. Proverbs 4:23 NIV says, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Guarding your heart isn't about closing it off. It's about protecting the wisdom you've earned, protecting the peace you fought for, protecting the life you are now responsible for leading. And at this stage of life, that responsibility matters. And with that, we close season 1 of Rosie, Rooted and Rising. Season 2 begins on April 6, 2026, and I look forward to rising with you again, because the next chapter isn't about becoming someone new. It's about learning how to live, lead, and move through life as the woman you've already become. If today's episode resonated with you, leave a review and share it with another woman who's rising, or someone in your life who needs this conversation. Follow the show on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And if you're listening on YouTube, like and subscribe so you don't miss what's next on Rosie, Rooted and Rising. Until next time, sis, y hermana, stay rooted, stay blessed, and keep rising. New episodes every Monday morning.